Hello, everyone. Happy Easter to those who celebrate, and welcome to the long anticipated Season 4 Premier League Grand Finals. I'm Jake alongside
And
ponkacheese, and really excited for the game today.
so let's get started soon, right? It's gonna be a competition with a lot of with four really talented Catanians. So yeah.
Yeah, so this has been Season 4 started way back in January, and 36 players, all the way down to four, the best of the best. We have Trash Panda, Honie, XP11, and sarpinsarp, who won the semifinal match to get here, the final spot, and these finals.
Yeah, this Premier League actually is a very competitive league where basically to join it, and this is like in King of Catan server or this group, what happens is to join it, you request the joining, but you have to prove that you are, like top, let's say 100 on in Catan universe in the world, or you have to prove that you've won some competition that was 200 or 300 plus people competing. So things like that would bring you to it. Otherwise, it's tough to make it.
Yeah, so when we say best of the best, it truly is the best of the best because not everyone can qualify to compete in this league, and so um, for me, I had to win a 100-person tournament. Definitely caught some breaks myself in that one, and have learned a lot from playing games with these players. Very talented.
Yeah. This what's interesting is this community, this Catan itself, this game is a remarkable game. It's my favorite board game. And actually, what I think is that it brings people together in a very interesting way, especially throughout this difficult time of the pandemic in the world. And these players, I played with all of them individually and in groups, and they've defeated me multiple times, I'm sure. So, yeah, they're great players. You're gonna enjoy this.
Uh, yeah, so we're gonna be playing on Colonist today. Free place to play Catan with your friends. Super simple to set up, and Colonist is kind of taken off uh, with the pandemic because people aren't able to see each other the same way, and it's really simple. You just go to colonist.io. You can click create game. There's a link. You can just send it to your friends. They click on that link and they're in your game. And so Colonist, as well as Catan Universe, is another site that people will use to play each other on Catan, and it's been really good for the growth of the game because it's just so much easier to play people from far away, and uh, thousands of games are happening every day. Let's get into the game.
Some fun.
All right, so it looks like XP has the first pick here. So there are on the bottom left, XP is going to be uh, the bottom on the bottom of the screen throughout the time. So it's going to go XP, then Honie, then Sarp, and then Panda.
What do you see so interesting about this board? Like, what would you do? What do you think you may do for the first placement? This is an
Yes.
interesting one.
The first things I normally look for are how much wheat is there and how much ore is there. Um, just because those are arguably the two most important resources, because you'll need those for development cards, and cities can be super crucial in order to get more production. And so I see that there's a good amount of each of those, with an 8 or a 5 or, and then there's a 6, 9, and 10 wheat. So a couple of spots I'd be looking at are the 5, 8, 10 up top. Um,
Mhm.
Maybe the 5, 9, 10 at the bottom as well, near the brick port. Um,
I like that six wheat, and it's kind of hidden a little bit because there's nothing around it besides that 5 ore that makes it look very astounding for a spot next to it. But I see that 6-5-11 not being the first chosen spot, but a very strong spot if chosen.
Absolutely. And so XP, I believe, had 3 minutes at the start of this timer in order to figure out where to place. And one of the things that's so important when you're picking a spot is to kind of place out where you think the other people will go, and that has a large impact on where the best spot is. And so it looks like XP decides to take that 5-8-10 up top, getting good ore and good wheat. And so hoping maybe for brick and sheep, or you don't necessarily need all 5 resources at the beginning. But that ore port up top and the 3-1, those are 2 really good ports for that spot. And so I like that pick there from XP.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot. That's probably what I would have done if it wasn't the first pick. I think also, even though the 10 will be a big number for him, because there is that 10 wheat, it's not necessarily the most common number to roll production wise, but it's better than a 3 or an 11 or a 2 or a 12. However, what he did is, because you're choosing first, it's easy to block off the person choosing. You're later to be placing the 8th as the 8th, first, second, third, fourth, and then 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. And so what would happen is he could get blocked off very easily. But now going up with that road is a very good choice. He can basically definitely probably will not be blocked at the 3-1 at the 5 wood. And so maybe somebody will put at that 8-4 sheep 2-for-1 or 2-for-1 ore port. I doubt it. So he has like basically 2 settlements to allow for himself to build later, and not only just getting those ports. And that he's open for that. And I think that's a very good spot. That's why.
Yeah, I think a great rule of thumb is, when in doubt on where to place your road, point towards the coast with your initial settlements, because it really hurts to lose those roads if they're going towards places that get blocked off. So it looks like there's going to be probably 2 free road spots that always come into play, starting with brick and wood. Starting off with that immediate road can be a huge advantage. I'm not sure if the 8-4-10 will make it to the second round, but definitely either the 9-4-11 or 5-4-11 could make for potential free road that could do a lot of good to whoever gets it.
Yeah. I don't see him getting brick easily for his last pick. I just don't see it, but maybe. But that 9 brick is very hidden there, and somebody's going to take that 5-10-9 soon enough. I think the 4-8-10 is a strong spot because there gives you a road ability to build road. It gives you that rare brick. I think there's a rare brick on this board, and also the wheat is quite common here. I think I would maybe that would be a good spot, the 8-4-10 maybe, but then you'd be weak on the ore. So not sure about that. What do you think, Jake?
So it looks like Honie decides to go ahead and place on the 5-9-10, which I agree with. I think getting that ore is super huge, and especially going second. Not sure that Honie would be able to get wheat and ore if he took the 8-4-10 first. But like you were saying, I like the 8-4-10, and I think that would be a good spot to go next, pointing down towards especially the wood port.
I definitely agree. I actually do like that 5-10-9 even more now that I think about it, because the wheat Honie will probably get that wheat. Some wheat he'll get to help himself with that 5 ore to get the city again.
Absolutely.
See what happens.
Yeah. So my guess is that Sarp will take the 8-4-10 here, and then that would leave Panda's Sarvat in an interesting position in 4th, with a lot of different options.
Yeah, I really like that 5-11-6, and I know that 11 wood may seem a little weak, but it's a very defensive play to keep that 5 ore from getting chosen, because if you place 2 settlements across from one another on a hex, it closes the hex off from being taken. And I know Sarp is a very he's an a player who can do some damage offensively sometimes, but he'll take risks. I think that sometimes it brings them, gives them strength. Sometimes it, of course, weakens the game. But I think he's a player. He may take a risk and maybe even do like 6-5-11. Who knows? I think the more conservative spot is going down with the road on the on the 8-4-10, as you were saying, Jen.
Yeah, because if Sarp takes the 6-5-11 here, I think that Sarvat would be very happy taking the 8-4-10 herself, and pairing that with maybe the 8-4-3, 6-3-11. There's lots of options still. Let's see.
It would be difficult to have an or thing for her. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what Sarp decides to do. I think this is gonna really shape the rest of the settlement placements, whatever Sarp decides here.
I agree. And I do think placing not first or even second this time around is actually maybe an advantage more than disadvantage, because then placing later for your second settlement is big. And I think they'll have a good pick still. So he did what you were saying. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, so interesting decision here for Sarvat. One of the things I'm seeing that might be a little bit more defensive and close off some space could be the 6-5-11 paired with the 9-4-3 and pointing towards that wheat port. I think that is an interesting choice that Sarvat might be looking at here. I agree with what you were saying that the 6-5-11 really seems like a strong spot, and Sarvat might just be deciding what she wants to pair with it. But that 9-4-3.
You mean Trash Panda though, right?
Yes,
I think
Trash Panda.
That's what I was. Yeah,
Trash Panda. Yep. So she would be leaving that 8-4-3 open, which is interesting. But what do you think here?
I think that placing I would have what I would do is I would do the 6-5-11. I wouldn't know what to do. I would think what to do first, 6-5-11, and go for the wheat kind of later, and then putting in the 4-3-9, getting that brick and having all resources, and then going to that wheat port, having the 9 and 6 wheat as well. But then you have a more chance to quickly build a settlement, having that 3 sheep, not having to await that 3. I do think I would probably do the 3-4-9, the 3 sheep, 4 brick, 9 wheat, followed by the 11 wood, 5 or 6 wheat. I think that would be very strong, and maybe putting a Trash Panda in the strongest starting position. Again, whatever position it is, these players, anyone can win, regardless. Basically, they're going to have good setups, and this is a very offensive board. I think also,
absolutely,
a lot of things you can do here.
And one of the things that Ponko was talking about is when you're in 4th position, you have somewhat of an advantage in that you get to pick which settlement spot you want to be second. So like Sarp would love to have picked the 8-4-10 with his second pick, because that allows him to start with a free road. But 4th, it's important when you're deciding where you want to settle, which one to leave for second. Another option, a little bit out of the box, I could see is potentially the 6-9-3, 8-4-3. So the 6-9-3 on the left gets a lot of sheep and good wheat, and the 8-4-3 would be getting even more sheep and a high ore spot. I think that leaves a lot of the board open though, and one of the things that would be really good with that is the sheep port. But I'd be concerned that someone could cut me off if I was Trash Panda at the 6-3-11, especially going in 4th.
So Trash Panda got that 6-5-11.
And where do you point your road here?
I would place it. I would take it right. That 6-12, that's a good wheat spot that nobody's gonna probably touch upon. But I'm not sure. Because what about the 3-11-6 taken? Oh well, yeah, they can. It's competition maybe for that spot. We'll see.
I agree. I agree with you there in pointing right.
But I do think what you were saying, that going up that 8-4-3, maybe that is a good way to kind of keep the dev cards going a little more, and then look at that ore port also in case the road goes up. I'm not sure. I would do the 9-3-4 as you're saying for their second one, but maybe she'll go for 8-4-3 just to prevent some damage from the other players.
Yeah, Just that blocks off that 9-4-11, which would be super powerful, especially for Honie if it was still there.
I don't know.
Starting with a free road towards the Brickport, all 5 resources, really good brick production, which is the rarest resource here, and good sheep or wheat sheep.
Mhm.
Um,
I feel like actually what's going to happen, and seems to me like actually the fourth player is going to have slightly the strongest setup, followed by the third player starting, and then followed by the second, and maybe I think XP is going to have a very difficult time finding a very good last his second settlement. I feels like to me. We'll see what happens, but definitely brick is. I don't see. I think it's out of the question for XP if anything around that 4 brick is taken.
yeah, and I
No
really think it
need
would
going for the
be.
3-1.
Yeah, the 9-12 just isn't enough production. I don't think. I agree with you there. So we'll see. We'll see what Panda decides to do here. If she does take the 9-4-3, that leaves Sarp maybe between the 8-4-3 and 6-3-11.
Yeah, the 6-3-11 is very strong, and sometimes we look down upon those 3-11, but when they come up, and it's about one half of the production or a little bit less, 40%. When those numbers roll, then it gives you a big advantage later. So sometimes you can rely on
Absolutely.
those weaker numbers to really kind of people will stop attacking you, or they will not block those numbers as much, and maybe you'll look a little like an underdog, but you can do very very well throughout the game.
For sure. I could see XP being okay.
Interesting.
So Panda decides to go for the 6-9-3 instead of the 9-4-3. So opting instead for more sheep and to kind of wall off to be sure that she gets the wheat port and doesn't have someone racing her from the 6-9-2.
Do you think she's gonna go for the 3-for-1 maybe? The going up a road up in case she wants a good production with that that sheep. There's a lot of production in that. I'm not sure if she's gonna go left or up there. What do you think?
Yeah, that's an interesting choice. I could see. I like maybe going up.
Hmm.
I think either are good.
Yeah,
And you're right. You nailed it there.
not sure though. I mean, yeah, anything makes sense there. I would say.
Yeah, I think that
I
production is important, especially not having a 3 hex spot from the 6-5-11, and maybe even Panda can get the 9-10-2 there,
yeah.
which would be really good for
I
her.
do think I'm surprised to be honest because I think that 4-9-11 that's not it's a very open territory for like I think Sarp now going right. Yeah, Sarp is
Yes.
now. I'm thinking he's going to take the 9-4-11. I can't, I'm not sure. Cannot be sure about that. Maybe a 10-9-11 instead with more wheat. But that's what I would do if I were him. One of those near that 4 brick. But the thing is, he'll be probably even rode up. He'll probably have some open space. What do you think? Because
Yeah,
the three.
this is a really interesting spot. I honestly kind of like being first and second here again now, just because there's so many spots left open. There's the 9-4-11 or the 9-10-11 as you mentioned. There's also still the
Yeah,
8-4-3 and
yeah,
6-3-11.
definitely.
So
Yeah,
there's
if you go for
still
production for sure.
at least 3 really good 3 hex spots left for the last 3 opening settlements.
Yeah. But I do think that's a surprising one for me, not getting that 9-3-4 to block off completely the brick and having anything placed around it.
Yeah. But again, these are the best of the best. So I'm
No,
sure
definitely. Yeah.
I'm sure
There's a
Panda
meaning. Yeah.
has a good reason and has thought through why to pick that 6-9-3 instead. It
Of
is more
course, definitely.
production, closer to that 3-1 port, and
Hmm.
maybe she's planning on getting her bricks down at the 9-12 if there's enough
Hmm.
time.
Yeah, I do think that coordinated 6 can be very helpful. As far as if you get a 5 for Trash Panda for her, the 5 rolling that ore is very big because then anytime a 6 rolls, I mean you have the ore and the 2 cards, the sheep and the wheat that will give you a dev card if nothing else.
Absolutely. One thing I would point out is that obviously Panda took her time picking that second settlement. I think that she hadn't made up her mind um, on which settlement she wanted second when she placed on that 6-5-11, because I would say that starting off with that rare wood for her and the ore might be better than those two sheep. But Sarp now goes for the 6-3-11.
I could definitely see that. Very, very, very strong Sarp, I think.
Yeah.
I think Sarp is going to have the. I don't know. I think Sarp's going to have that strongest suit there because look, that 8-4-3 may not even be taken. Not sure. Somebody may have to take it just because of Sarp.
Yeah. So I think if I'm Honie here, you're lacking wheat and wood, and so that 9-10-11 jumps out first, I would say. But
you're going to get stuck with this, yeah.
That blocks off both the 9-4-11 and the 3-10-11. And if Honie starts on the 9-4-11 and points up, it's possible that he's able to get another settlement on a 3-hex spot, which could be very good. And also, if he's planning on going for the brick port, that extra brick protection could be very useful.
Yeah. I do think I'm guessing the 4-11 if he wants better kind of offense for himself, but if he wants to be more defensive and blocking off basically all possibilities for solid wheat production or any solid more wheat production for XP, then maybe the 9-11-10 will make more sense as well. And also for, of course, Trash Panda going up for that 2-9-10 sometime.
Yeah. If assuming that Honie goes on the 9-4-11 here, where do you see XP going?
I think XP may do the 8-4-3. Just for the production, that ore port, he's gonna solidify that ore port for himself. And absolutely. I just think the Sarp is strong right now, and giving that Sarp that open 8-4-3 is basically that's a lot of challenge than stopping him from winning that game. And again, the initial placement is not. People a lot of times think that initial placement is everything. More than I don't give it as much credit, I think, as some do. Sometimes you can win with like a very. It depends on the roles and depends on what other people have. How many sevens there are, how many people steal from you, so on.
Yeah. So I think expecting XP11 to take the 8-4-3 here is why I agree with Honie on picking the 9-4-11. Because yes, you're blocking other people's spots if you take more wheat on that 9-10-11, but you're also probably blocking at least one settlement for yourself. And it's very early, but I like I would say Honie's set up the best just off the initial placements. But like you were saying, that there's still a lot of game left. These are very good players, and I could see them really ganging up on Honie with these early robbers if he's able to get that third settlement somewhere.
So I personally think, I mean, it's basic and just idea, that I think Sarp has the stronger placement. That ore is weak, even though he has one ore initially, right? So even though 11 ores, that's maybe the one thing that may hurt him. I guess, yeah, but Honie also has a lot of potential. So they both are very strong to me, I think. Let's see what happens, with XP can,
especially with that wood port down at the bottom, that could really help Sarp's game, and kind of that 8 wood once Sarp gets to the wood port, that's basically an ore if he wants it to be. So I see what you're saying there.
Yeah, and he has that 6 wheat, right? Like it's a little stronger than a 9 wheat, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And Trash Panda, I mean, if the 5 ore rolls quite a bit, that's she has it. I mean, she has a lot of potential, more so. And then, it's interesting. We'll see. What if XP does something different than the 8-4-3? Well,
Oh, okay.
It's
And
interesting.
aggressive road there.
Yeah,
I kind of like that
I
because
like it too.
if you point it up, which is the safer way, you already have
Mm,
that other settlement pointing towards the ore port.
mm.
Um, so I think that definitely played into XP's decision there. And even though we're saying that we like Honie and Sarp's initial setups maybe best, definitely can't count XP or Panda out. Um,
Definitely.
yeah,
Plus,
these
seven rolls, they can steal if somebody has a brick, they can steal a brick and they can use that to their advantage, for example, right?
right.
In fact, the only person starting with a brick is Honie right now, with the second placement being in the 9-4-11. Honie has a road in hand with a wheat as well. A
Wow.
brick, a wood,
So
and a wheat, right?
yeah, XP's trying to get that brick to cut off Sarp, and maybe the players are scared to give Sarp that extra settlement on the sheep port with the 4 sheep and 10 sheep. I don't know if anyone's going to do that.
I hope
Uh,
not. That'd be a little like that would be like a voice chatty where if like, hey, do this, so I'm gonna, which they may be doing, bargaining and whatnot.
yeah, absolutely.
I will trade you the wood when you need it. How about that, Honey? You don't like the ore?
I
Like
have the
two
most
cards
wood.
this is.
If you guys do this, I'm gonna have to race with you, Honey. Like I won't have any other expansions, but if you don't help him, I have the most wood. I can trade you. Okay.
So that's an expensive brick that Honey gets right back. But I think that's a really good play for XP to be able to secure that. I definitely think it's worth the 2 cards early on, and I think that's going to help both Sarp and or not Sarp, but help
Honing,
both Pony and XP in this game.
yeah. I'd be if I'm where is it? If I'm Sarp, I'd be a little like, wow, what are you guys doing? Interesting.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's like it's a very strong trade that hurts him more than help. Well, yeah, hurts him a lot. Also,
Hurts him for sure, and so
yeah.
now that definitely is tough. I think that Sarp made a similar deal to cut another
Mm-hmm.
player off in the semifinal, and that allowed him to get a super strong setup with the help of I think there were a couple of 2s that also helped him, and getting a deal like that can sometimes be the difference maker in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And so it looks like Honie decides to go straight for that brick port with their first settlement. Not settling yet, but
Yeah. Now, I see that Sarp may give Sarp more, well, especially giving Honey getting rid of that brick, and Honey did get one back with the 4, right? But if he didn't, then Sarp gives him more chance to really cut off, hurt Honey. I think it hurts Honey giving that brick away, then helps him. I don't know, but I just think because Sarp can maybe go to that 10, that brick port just to stop Honey a little bit. I don't know.
yeah,
I think the strongest one right now is XP now. What do you think?
yeah, I could see that, and I could also see the other players similarly to how they cut Sarp off on the sheep port. I could see them helping Sarp cut off Honie to that brick port, especially since it won't do as much good for Sarp as it would for Honie, and Sarp's already got a road himself. So maybe with the next rolls, Honie needs to be careful and pulling that early victory point. Although it does put him at 3 already, that's often a disadvantage. You often don't want those early victory points because everything else will help with the production. Even a knight getting yourself unblocked at times can be really useful, and that victory point isn't going to do anything sitting in your hand all game other than if you get to 10.
That doesn't help you forget that you're actually not doing as well as you want to be.
Yeah. And
Sarp
so, wow,
has a
Sarp,
road and a settlement.
Yeah, so he doesn't even necessarily need any help, and Honie's not going to be able to get a settlement here with just the brick.
Yeah.
So
What
we'll
do you
see.
think? Would Sarp go for the 10 sheep, that brick port? I think maybe he wants to be a little defensive with Honie right now.
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear the conversation right now and maybe see if he tries and get the other players to um, motivate him.
The wood pot is more interesting.
Well,
So,
I already have it. I don't need to race for it, right?
right?
I mean,
How about
if
you leave me the if you leave me the 3, 10, 11, I'll leave you the brick board.
Wow. That's a
You
good
can
one.
You can go to the 9, 10 too.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
I believe what happened there is that Sarp winds up going to
All
the
right,
wood
guys,
port.
good
I
game.
think that Sarp may
I'm
have made a deal
confused as
with
to
Honie to leave him the 3, 10, 11 and
I
to
think
have
I heard
Honie
that
go
something like that.
for the 9, 10, 2 instead, which is really interesting, and that can help Sarp get back into the game, getting that fourth settlement spot, more of that wood, and the 8 rolled right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the 4 rolls. 4's rolled a few times, right?
Yeah, and Pandas, I think, has just gotten a wheat the whole game so far. So that's super unfortunate for her.
True.
Not getting rolls at the beginning can
Yeah, and
really
look at
set
that.
you back.
What's blocked, right? That 5 ore is blocked. That's the
Mhm.
biggest number for her.
Yeah, those in the 6s, but definitely that 5 ore is the worst spot, I think, to be blocked for her. Because on a 6, if one of them's blocked, at least you get the other, and that's
Yeah.
the only source of ore for her.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do want to say I want to applaud all the 4 contestants for basically I think all of them had really solid initial placements. So right now it is down to a lot of the gameplay here more so than just the placements, I think.
Yeah.
But we're seeing a lot of interesting how the voice chatting and communication and kind of the trade-off is different than just a game where you're kind of auto matching and just doing things with like offering trades but not really communicating, like bargaining in that way.
I strongly prefer playing games with voice chat rather than without. And so looks like Honie, there was a trade completed, I think. Maybe not actually. Maybe that was a counter offer. Oh wow. Okay, so Sarp just traded away 1 brick for 2 ore, putting Sarp. He has a city in hand with that wood port, which is
Definitely,
huge.
Yeah.
And now, so that gets XP close to a settlement. Just needs a wheat. And XP was at 8 cards with the stuck hand. So I guess incentivized to make that trade and not pass with 8 cards. But that's a super good deal for Sarp, I think. And after coming back really from getting cut off early, and I think that he may be in the strongest position after his turn.
No, I hear you. I heard what you said about how you like the voice chat kind of games more. I'm known for the person kind of who plays let's say I play better without the voice chat, I think sometimes. But that's just everyone has their own version of play.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think voice chat though more similarly mirrors like playing in person, because you are able to, when you're in person, there's always going to be voice chat if you're all there.
No, that's true. That's true. I just wonder, like, what are you allowed to do? Are you allowed to say which cards you have? Because, for instance, sometimes players will say, like a voice chat, like, oh, I have two ores, and like, or she has like two ores, so she's about to build a city if you don't blah blah blah, right? Right. That's so.
Yeah.
My question is, how much can you really reveal information when you're playing with four people, like with each other, even at a table? But again, everyone has their own big opinion on that, and that's what it is.
Yeah, I
Respect
think
everyone.
looks like Sarp is trying to trade a wood for wheat, trying to get the city a little bit cheaper.
Mhm.
Don't know if that's going to happen, but I see what you're saying, and I think tracking cards is super important. And these players playing today are very good at it. And sometimes
Mhm.
having that information saying, "Don't do that trade," because you don't want to be a person that's not involved in a trade that happens, because it helps two other players, which can often leave you behind.
Mhm.
So having that information and saying that, at least in my opinion, is part of the game. And
Mhm.
yeah, but interesting
Like an example right now,
conversation there.
I want to talk about Trash Panda, right? I feel like
Mhm.
she's a little left out from the game. Like having a strong setup as she is, being as strong as a player as she is, she seems like she's not as communicating as much as some of the other ones are. It just seems to me like she's not getting trades. Like nobody's giving her two wars for a wheat, even though she's not ahead. She's not ahead. She's probably the last place right now, not just by points. And so I think like that's where like if I was her, I'm feeling like here I'm left out. This voice chat is messing me up. That's not just the voice chat part, but I just think right now she needs to somebody needs to not help her but benefit from her by not worrying about kind of she's having a tough start. Look at that five. What's the five or being blocked
Yeah,
when she's really even Honie's having a rough start. There's
yeah,
definitely somebody in the lead and it's not them.
yeah. I think that Panda has gotten a little bit unlucky with these rolls. That six was good, but yeah, she gets a brick there from Honie, and I think she could also trade a wheat for an ore maybe with XP, if she chooses to.
Yeah.
Looking for a wood that gets XP a settlement, and also XP is at 8 cards, so it would be really good for Panda here to potentially get an ore and a wood, if XP is willing to give that much.
Yeah, they traded
Now I
sometimes.
guess, yeah, it looks like XP is going to risk being at 8 cards, which makes sense because he would still get a settlement if he wants to keep those cards on a 7. Losing half your hand with 8 or more cards can really hurt.
Yeah.
But luckily for XP, a 3 rolls instead, so gets that wood back that he just traded with Panda, and gets that settlement on the sheep port, and already
Yep.
two ores towards the city.
Yeah.
With the sheep port, which could be another card as well.
Yeah, I'm saying like that Trash Panda was hurt a lot by the gameplay of the others. Like that, I mean, by the trading, like because sometimes any trade made that's not something you do, actually will hurt you because some players, in fact, usually the two trading are benefiting, whereas you're not.
Absolutely, and I think because she started off on that 693 with those resources, she'd only had sheep and wheat in her hand, and people hadn't really been looking to trade for those yet.
Yeah, even though some people are going to need the wheat, or they even they that's a big thing for let's say XP, right? The wheat's huge. He doesn't have a city, and the 10's not. Has the 10 been rolling much? I don't think so, right?
No, I don't think there's been a 10 yet.
Yeah. But it's interesting, right? So the dynamics of the game very, very much. This is about the gameplay here, about with great players versus just randomly, not random numbers and resources. Did the 7 roll for like, for example, Trash Panda lost a bunch of cards, right?
Yeah, right after the 6 puts her at 8 cards, she loses half her hand. And that's I can be with this ore blocked for her. She gets it off of that 5 ore, even though she's not the one that gets to pick where. That's probably going to help her keep her hand from being stuck. She's still, other than those trades she made last turn, she's only produced sheep and wheat so far. And so now if even 1/5 rolls, that'll help unclog her hand, maybe buy a dev or make some trades, and put her back in the game potentially.
No, I see that.
Yeah. So Sarp,
She also rolled the 7.
rolled the 7 and decides to block the 8 ore. Do you agree
I
with
would
that?
do that. I agree with that because even that four, like I do think what is it? XP is very close to it. I think Sarp is slightly ahead of everyone, followed by XP very closely there because XP when he gets that ore port, now having the sheep port to be able to trade, let's say to get a brick if he needs, if he needs to, for example, right? I do think Sarp is very, very but that A block, that's a big block. So that A block makes sense, right? What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think so Panda's traded a sheep for an ore with XP after blocking Sarp. And I wonder if that might have been something that they talked about in voice chat. That maybe she was able to leverage the 7 that she rolled in order to get a card that she wanted while also blocking the person with the early city in Sarp.
Yeah, she has a knight, right? Or
Yeah.
And that's and it's moved from the 5. Sometimes whenever you're struggling getting a resource that's different than just like let's say she's having wheats and sheep for the most part. The 7 rolling helps unless it's hurting you with your cards because you can you can slow a player down from who is ahead of you, but also maybe steal a card you kind of want to.
Absolutely. And so Honie rolls a 5 and gets that ore. I think for the first time with it not being blocked. Deciding here between a settlement and a dev card, or maybe looking for a trade. I think going for the settlement there is the right play.
Makes sense
Getting on that brick board is super big, and now it sounds like because the deal he made with Sarp, I believe that 3, 10, 11 needs to be left open, and so he can maybe go for the 9, 10, 2 with all the wheat, or for the 9, 12 maybe and getting more of that brick.
Sarp has a very strong Year of Plenty card, having being able to choose later on 2 cards of his choice. And what I was going to say about the Sarp's gameplay, or at least right now where he is basically, think about it. He has a city, kind of being the last one to get the city, right? Without initially starting with a port and having the weakest of the ores, he's the one with a city. So that's strong for Sarp to have that.
Yeah, I think that 2 ore for 1 brick trade super helpful. And I like Panda here. I think that she's probably going to be the one to get army potentially.
I'm seeing that she's maybe
production, and also coming from behind. People may not be as likely to block her right now as maybe Sarp or XP. And
I agree. She's doing very well for where she was, let's say 2 rounds ago. She's working out. She's playing very well here, I think.
I agree with you there. And so it's her turn. I saw her hovering over that knight. She may be trying to make a deal with Sarp potentially. She can buy another dev card if she wants to, or she can hold for a city. And sitting up on that ore would be really, really good.
So I don't think. What do you think anyone would accept a sheep for a brick? Because they're seeing she may be coming up a little bit.
Honie's the only one with a brick right now, and I don't see him necessarily needing sheep. At least with his current hand.
She's using the knight. Wow. Probably going to get Honie's card. Yeah, because she was thinking maybe he would have a break to take from.
And he did. That ore's not a bad
very strong
either. That ore is useful. Buys another dev and then a 6. Yep. Oh, the mono. Wow. Yeah, Panda's
that's a big card.
In the beginning, but right back in this thing. And this is what her hand
especially
was
the 6 rolls
the with.
Yep. So look at her. That's what happens when you're a good player. You don't give up. You just you come back sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So I think she was very much behind, and now she's she has a big chance. The mono really kind of. A lot of times people say, you have a mono, you're going to win. Well, I don't think that way, but I think it does help you with come back, or get a lead in a big way sometimes.
Yeah, it's super important to use those monopolies at the right time. I've seen sometimes players who might not be tracking the best will use that mono and maybe only get like one card. And I'm sure Panda is going to be waiting for the right moment to really capitalize, maybe getting like a city and something else. I think that this is potentially a good board to use it on as well, with the 8 ore, especially after their city's up. Also, brick could be a potential mono for her.
I do think it depends on. Sometimes you have to be defensive. These players are going really quickly, and this is a very. This could be a quick game based on the offensive. A lot of tactics. People are building quickly here, and a lot of resources, a lot of production. So maybe if she sees somebody having cities, right? I mean, if she has even one wheat, she may have to run for that to steal those ores, for example, just to save herself from getting defeated quickly.
Yeah,
and she does not have a port. That 3-for-1 would help. Sorry.
That would help for sure. XP11 here again has 8 cards, and just has wood, sheep, and ore. Last time he had 8 cards. He wound up trading 2 ore for 1 brick. But uses the
2 sheep
port to get a road, and without that sheep port, that would have been a really tough spot to be in.
Strong wheat for Trash Panda and for Honie, right?
Yeah, it's a big roll.
Yeah, I do think XP. It was one of those things where he's in a good position where nobody's going to really trade with him easily. They're giving him a brick, and so he had to. I would agree with that move. Trading the 4 sheep to have to get some resources out of the way also, and getting that road. But it's a very slow procedure compared to some things that some other players are able to do so far.
Yeah. I don't think that the other players will be incentivized to help XP get to the 8 ore and that ore port unless it's a really good deal. So now Honie almost has too much brick. I think Honie needs to be looking to trade that brick for.
I'd probably get a sheep out of
Pandas. That would make sense because that gets Honie a dev card and Pandas a settlement. But
we'll see what happens here.
Yeah,
Honie's having now a difficult time, I think.
Yeah.
Right. I can't do that. I don't know if that helps you. I know you just got a wheat.
Yeah, we're gonna give you the wood. That's it.
Yeah, that was tough. They're tough on Honie there, I think.
Yeah.
And I think Panda may want that wheat because maybe she wants to steal a lot of, run a monopoly on the ores soon enough. Whereas
2 dev cards right away for Panda and gets 2 knights. So she pretty much has army locked up, at least at the beginning. And a couple of 10s rolled, giving XP 2 wheat. Now just 1 ore away from a city, rolling an 8 or a 4 could get that city. And a city on the 5, 8, 10 is going to be super strong. I think XP is going to block the 4 brick here, is my guess, and try and steal one of Honie's cards, because that brick is really useful as XP doesn't have any, and maybe if he knows that.
I would do that. I would have stolen from Sarp. I think Sarp is very strong with that 8 wood sport. But yeah, I hear you but see, the thing is, Honie is just very kind of seems behind to me a little bit. And then look what Trash Panda's doing. She's keeping under the radar. Having those 3 cards with the mono instead of going for that city, instead of going for that settlement. She's keeping under the radar. Very strong play, I think, in a sense.
Yeah, and we have perfect information here, as well as the viewers getting to see everyone's cards. But it's sometimes tough to know. And it looks like XP gets the brick anyway, in a trade. And so I definitely agree that Sarp is the person for XP to be blocking. And that's a really strong spot on the 8. And also it was on the 10 and a couple of 10s rolled, so that even though it was scary to use that knight, I think for Panda and move it to get that extra card, I think to buy another dev, wound up working out in her favor, I think. Blocking 4 sheep each from Sarp and Honie.
Definitely, yeah. And actually, where is it? It was a good comment you made. Sometimes we forget that really you only know your own cards, and you chatting and is thinking what other people have is one thing, but you only see your own cards, and nobody aside from herself basically knows in the game that she has a monopoly and 2 knights.
Yeah. And so now XP's at 8 cards again. Could build a road, but really wants to save for that settlement, I think. And so far,
I would do
it
a
seems
city
like,
for him, wouldn't you? Oh, sorry, we're talking about XP here. No.
Yeah, XP. My bad. I may have said the wrong name there, but XP is
No.
at 8. And I don't think that anyone wants to let XP get that settlement or the city. And there's nothing he can do by himself other than build a road. Which he does do, but that puts you further from that next settlement. I think that's probably still the right play to get down from 8 cards.
Because he can get a city soon, with that 8 or 11 ore. That's
Absolutely.
why if he didn't have any options like that later on soon enough, he may have to have stuck with around with the more than 7 cards. But
yeah.
Otherwise, imagine he loses a city potential and the settlement potential right away if a 7 roll down.
Yeah. And that was super good for XP to be able to trade that wood for a brick earlier on in that turn. So now Honie has some good cards here. Could build a road.
The 10 sheep block was tough on him. I can see that because that would have helped him with, let's say, getting a death card and having a sheep in hand.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance he'd be able to trade to get a road settlement if he had sheep, or definitely get a dev card here. So it'll be interesting to see what Honie decides to do. If a 9 or a 10 rolls and Honie doesn't play a road here, then that'll put him at 8 cards and at risk for a 7. But looking to trade for ore, not quite to a city.
He has a brick port to get that city for, right? For the two bricks.
Oh,
he can get an ore for that. I think
you're spot on there. Absolutely.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, I think the having a city for Honie is the best way to approach it. Even if nobody trades with him right now, getting maybe an ore from 2 bricks, and I think he's not going to be. I would, fair play wise, I don't see him being attacked easily because he's just not ahead, in my opinion, right now. But he didn't do that. He built a road. That's a lot of production in the wheat whenever he was able to get that. Those bricks helped him.
Just a 5 away from a city on his turn. And I think Honie could,
the 10's
get
big.
back
The
in
10's
this.
big. Yeah. The 10's big. The 10's big for XP a lot. And for Honie.
So now XP is already back up to 10 cards again. We were just saying that XP was at 8 again last turn. So he has the option to buy 2 devs, or could use his sheep port to port for a city. But
he could do 1 dev
first.
and stay at under 8 cards then.
Yeah, I think
that's what I would do. And then 8 ore rolls, and he gets enough just to build a city anyway. I wouldn't do 2 devs for him. It depends on what dev he gets. Also, the first one, right?
Yeah, for sure. But I could also see just going for that city with the sheep port. So I think that 5-8-10 is probably the strongest city spot in the game. So it looks like
the sheep port. Yeah,
I think that's what XP decides to do there. And right away, as a city in hand, 1 roll later.
Yep.
That's a huge spot, and I think that people
seems like he's
putting
him lead. Yeah, I think that 8 being blocked for Sarp. It's an interesting game. This is one of those real very competitive games.
Yeah,
it's interesting. Sometimes people wonder.
I could see anyone winning this one, to be honest.
Yeah, I see that as well. For example, Trash Panda and Honie may seem a little weak, but that for the cards they have, they're under the radar more than they're weak. I think. They're not going to be attacked.
even though she's the only one who is still showing 2 points there, everyone else has built a settlement or a city. She basically has 4 points locked up right now, because once she decides to play those 2 knights, she'll have largest army, which she'll get her 2 points, and she has that mono, and she's the only one with a knight right now. So
she needs more sixes though. She needs some wheat.
Absolutely, and maybe if there's some sixes and some eights using that mono to steal that ore from XP.
Yeah,
it's good
I
to
was
be
thinking
monoing resources from the person in first place, which
especially who has a
I can
city
see
in
happening
hand.
here. Mm-hmm. Oh
And
wow,
8
that's
rolls.
a big trade.
What
Gets
happened
Honie
now?
a city, and XP has a perfect settlement and dev in hand. So going to get on that ore port most likely.
Yeah, and Trash
Except now
Panda, for
7
example,
rolls.
shouldn't use. Yeah.
7 rolls, and that's a good card, I think, for XP to lose there. Is that sheep, not losing that brick or wood, especially the brick, is really good.
Yeah.
So now, also Sarp didn't really want a sheep there. That wasn't. Oh, right
rolls.
away right away that 8 rolls, moving from the 8 wood on Sarp to the 8 ore for XP, and that's a big swing.
Sarp has a city now, right? If he gets the 4 woods for the 2. Oh, I keep on looking at XP's cards from Sarp's cards. That's why.
Yeah, Sarp's close to a city here. I would imagine by the time it gets his turn again, if there's not a 7, he'll probably be able to build one. But
I'm Sarp. I'm going left.
Might also be better to do something else, like maybe getting to that 3, 10, 11.
Yeah, that's what I would be saying.
Buying some devs. We'll see what happens, but
see how he has that. Oh, it's not his turn because he has his Year of Plenty card, but he has what? He has how many cards now? 3, 2.
Yeah, it was
9
Panda rolled the 8, and so also uses her knight and blocks the 10 wheat. She keeps moving it from the 8 to the 10, and then the 10s are rolling. So Sarp has a lot of cards, has 11 cards in hand. And I believe Panda stole the sheep, so the XP wasn't able to settle there and had to give up his turn. So that was super big for the whole table, I would say, keeping XP from getting to that ore port, especially now that it's not on the 8 ore anymore.
Yeah. Yep. And it's interesting. Keeps away, for example, for Trash Panda, keeps her away from using the mono on the ore. In case they're wondering, maybe somebody does have a mono. Who knows, right?
Yeah. We'll see if Honie decides to jump at this offer for the wheat. That would get Panda a settlement on that 3 to 1 port.
I don't see anyone needing that.
Yeah.
Maybe XP.
Honie's looking for a wood here to get that settlement on the 9, 10, 2.
Yeah. I was going to share an interesting thing quickly. So sometimes people wonder, how many times is it what's the likelihood of getting a 7, right? So 7 actually it has production 6. So 6 out of 36 is 1/6. That's about 17%. But you're wondering, let's say after in 4 rolls, right? What's the likelihood that you don't get a 7? How do you stay alive, right? So, or what's the chance that 1 7 will roll? So, for example, if you divide 5 over 6, right, 1 minus a 6th, and then you take it to the 4th power. I'm joking, but there's under 50%, 48% chance that you'll survive without a 7 over 4 rolls around. Interesting, right? But it's not 0%. So if you have even 8 cards and you pass your turn, it's about 50-50 that you're going to lose them with a 7. Sometimes people forget that it's not 100%. So it's actually,
Sometimes, especially when I'm behind, I'm more likely to take that risk, I think. But super big development here. Honie builds a settlement, uses the brick port, and then Sarp rolls a 7, has to give up 5 cards.
It changes stuff around for Sarp a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think he'll get a road from his Year Plenty to go for the 10, 3, 11, maybe. What do you think?
Yeah,
He
I
may
don't
want to get
know.
brick later too, so I'm not sure.
I don't know if he wants to use it yet.
Yeah.
That's super
I mean,
unfortunate
wood
for him
or
that like one turn away from being able to use all those cards and maybe make up some ground on XP, what he's been doing recently,
yeah.
and Honie and Pandas as well. Wow,
So XP is
XP,
still without the. What is it?
yeah, XP is not getting blocked there. Sarp gets a sheep.
And he stole from Honie. Okay, Honie does have a city. Look at that. Honie came back quite a bit with having that city's huge for him. First of all, the 9 brick, but also yeah, that's a big block. The 5 war. Remember, it kept Trash Panda and Honie from getting kind of an early start. So,
Yeah. And so Sarp decides to build those 2 roads, but not use the Year of Plenty yet.
Yeah.
And I think he made a deal with Honie earlier, and Honie isn't allowed to go to that 3, 10, 11, I believe, from when Sarp didn't block the brick port. And so I think that plays a role in the decision to not use that Year of Plenty yet, and to have those roads kind of hanging there for right now.
Yeah, that would make sense because I think about it. The ore is very tough for him to get, and I think he wants to save that Year of Plenty for getting maybe 2 ores even to get a city sometime.
Absolutely, I agree with you there.
The second city is gonna be very tough for him otherwise. But
Panda still just with the 2 settlements, but again, basically 4 points in a mono whenever she decides to use that knight.
yeah, she's struggling with using the mono, and that makes sense to me. Every time she could use it, a 7 rolls gets rid of the cards she needs, like the ores. It's
It can be more powerful later in the game.
Yeah, definitely. But she's kind of getting behind on several of those. She's kind of behind a little bit, right? 2 points, and
just behind in production, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, even if she gets the army, it's even being at 4 points, then she runs out of knights. I don't know. We'll see. Who do you think is very strong contender right now? I'm saying Honie very strong, right? Because look at that road through, for example, that may be kind of not visible for everyone, but I'm listening.
Yeah, I could still see any of them doing it here, honestly. It's like it seems wide open. I think that Panda starting with army is big, and I could see honestly anyone taking road, probably except Panda. Sarp just had 3 roads in hand before the 7, so can get it quickly.
True.
Honie's getting a lot of brick, and with the ore port and the sheep port soon for XP, he could also take road with just 2 roads, and he'd be at 6 roads. So I think someone's going to get from 6 or 10 points to 10 points potentially pretty quickly.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, I agree. And then maybe kind of saving that road, as a lot of good players do, for the kind of the last maybe turn. Even sometimes you just kind of road up and you win. Somebody doesn't expect it. But I'm seeing that trade she's offering to XP. She's offering him a sheep with he can build a settlement, right? I mean, I think it's more so between them. But he says, "Look, I'm gonna give you 1 card, an ore for. I don't want to give you." And she wants the brick, of course. Or she's saying she gets the idea. He only has 1 brick, but she wants 2 cards at least to not.
It looks like XP is willing to give up those 2 cards. I think it's really good for Panda to be able to get that extra wood. It may seem small, but getting that extra card is super big, and she knows with XP's hand that he's willing to do that to get the settlement.
Yeah, I'm surprised she didn't do anything with, let's say, getting a dev card from that. Still having
it was XP's turn, I believe, when XP did that trade on his turn.
Got it. You're right.
So he played that settlement with it, and now Panda can buy another dev here, or hopefully be able to city or settle.
Yeah. So 6 rolls. Panda's in really good shape. I mean, as far as she has a lot of cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe she can get one of those bricks from Honie.
Yeah.
That would be big.
Yeah, I'm saying potentially she may want to even use a knight to steal from him, unless he trades her or something.
Yeah, can maybe
She could
use that
even
as leverage.
bargain that. True.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, so I think we're gonna listen
yes,
in to
if you
see
move
what
the
they're
rubber
talking about right now on this.
to the 8
So
or
you'll do a 1-for-1.
Yeah.
You'll do a 1-for-1.
1 for 1
Any
and
card I want.
You can't move it away from.
yeah, any card you
I
want. Yeah.
Okay, I can do that.
Oh man. Right.
I think
Yeah, so that Honie
Damn,
can
so
give
cheap.
give a brick for any card. So that was huge because now
That was.
Panda still has 7 cards after the settlement. Gets another dev.
Very
and
smart,
another
very
knight.
good play, and a 6
So-
rolls and
That knight basically led to a settlement there.
a 5 rolls, right? Yeah.
She played that super well for sure, and that deal helps Honie too because now if a 10 rolls, he's able to buy a couple of devs or
I mean, he may city
maybe
up
more
soon.
likely to be able to city exactly.
I'm
City on
seeing.
that. You got it.
Yeah, no, I'm just seeing it's interesting how there are basically the changes, the phase changes of basically who's leading. I just see like Trash Band is very behind with Honie kind of barely hanging in there. They kind of get ahead of the crowd and it just goes back and forth a little bit here. It's interesting, right?
Yeah, I still think anyone could be winning this game.
True,
Which
same.
is exactly what you want from the Premier League final. It's awesome that we have this 4-player race right now to see who can win season 4 of the Premier League.
Definitely.
Good game is really all you can ask for here. So nice to have this.
And then remember Sarp seemed like he was the leader for some time. I do think he was in some ways, and now he's just maybe now he's the one who's not so much ahead.
Yeah.
Even though that spot there would give him the 3, 11, 10, that would give him more wood to work with for support. It's getting closer to people having 6, 7, 8 points to kind of close the game soon enough. Even it seems like the highest amount of points somebody has is 5, right? It's actually, I mean, we know like people do have enough right now to build a road if they like to, for at least who does. Anyone have that happen right now? I mean, potentially close to that though. So
with the right rolls for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, even though you're set, like, so I agree that Sarp seems to have gone from the clear leader to not necessarily winning right now. If he builds that settlement on the 10-3-11 and uses that year plenty to get a city, he'll be at 6 with a good chance to take road for 8 and city on the 6-3-11. There haven't been I can't remember an 11 off the top of my head.
I agree. That's a very rare number if it even rolled. I do think what Sarp could do is if nobody's trading him, and they may actually get maybe an ore and a brick. The brick would help him because he gets some cards and he settles in the 3, 11, 10. And he needs the ore, and maybe with the ore he could get a dev card if nothing else. Especially they don't see many monos played. And then we think maybe there's some monos left, and there is one left because even Trashman has one, right? Let's see if he's using a brick and a ore for that, or 2 ores.
Yeah, it looks like he's really considering that, using that year of plenty, and I think he may be right with what he'd be using it for.
Yeah. Oh, I see. They're not. He's first seeing the trade at prospects, right?
Right.
Maybe some Mulligan and a brick, right? So.
Yeah. Now Panda's back up at 11 cards again.
Yeah. She wants probably something open for some ores to roll for others, but that 8's blocked. She's probably thinking, "Man, I wish that 8 was open. It rolls, and then I can steal it with a mono." But
yeah. Oh, and wow. So Sarp gets the sheet for brick trade, and now he doesn't have to use his year of plenty to get that settlement. That's a big trade, but I think that also helps Honie.
Wow, look at Honie has a city
with that 5.
And a death card, or even another 5 rolls. He may get 2 cities.
Yeah, monoing the ore. Never mind. I was just about to say that 5 lets
2 cities. Look at that.
2 cities from the mono, and now she's at 7 with the 3-1 port. Oh,
Yeah.
she may not want to buy that second city yet, actually.
3-for-1 port, that's a lot of production for the 639. I think that city would be big, especially she does have but we will see, right? Not sure.
Yeah.
A lot of good options here. You can do more dev cards. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't trade with her easily if I were other players now.
I agree.
Especially sometimes even a mono seems like when it's played that player right away is very much ahead, which is not necessarily is true. It's not necessarily true, but it kind of offends some players. They're like, oh man, she just stole everything from us. Not that that's not what they are like, but
yeah, they're just playing to win.
yeah, no, but what I mean is this is like there are emotions. There are these emotions, and the psychological aspect of the game of the people is in the game, and so that's a big part of it, right? And so. If you being upset, being happy, that's a big part going into the game. It does change things. Yeah.
For sure. And Panda does decide to go for that second city. And now she was just at 2 points, like showing like maybe 5 or 10 minutes ago. And now she's all the way up to 7. And no one's going to be able to take army from her. So
the army's not taken from her now. Yeah.
She's in a great spot here, but definitely the other players will recognize that and try and block her. But no one else has a knight right now, so they may need a 7 to help out with that.
Yeah, and she has a lot of very good, solid production. She has that opening for the 612 settlement, at least for the point, nothing else.
Yeah,
she doesn't have brick, but that's why it's gonna be tough for her to do 2 roads and a settlement. But let's see, a 5 rolls that helps Honie a lot, and helps, of course, Trash Panda a lot.
Yeah, that was a huge turn there, and that's the type of thing you want to save your mono for. I mentioned earlier when she got that, you want to make sure to really get something out of it. And I thought she was going to get a city and something else, and it turned out to be 2 cities. So that was huge. She also decided to trade a 3-for-1 for sheep to ore, which if she hadn't done that, she'd already be back up at 8 cards after that 5 rolled.
Yeah, good observation there. I agree. Yeah, and that mono play was actually it's slightly questionable. Not that it's a great play, but for her it probably took some thought, right? Because the 8 ore wasn't open to roll, so it's not like XP had a lot of ores, but she's basically taking the few ores that Honie had at that time, right? But now Honie can't build a city. Or
I'm super surprised that the XP wound up not losing any cards from the mono. But I mean, Honie also has a city and 3 settlements up right now. So definitely not bad to be stealing from him instead. And now looks like he's got a city in hand too. After stealing that ore.
That's a big steal. That's like the one thing he would want to steal his ore there, because he had 2 ores and a bunch of weeds, right?
Yeah, but decides to go for the dev. Maybe trying to keep some pressure on Panda, and just building a city there isn't going to be enough to win, I guess. So
I'm surprised with that play, but I hear it, I see it. It's definitely a lot of options there in that regard.
Yeah, Panda here has enough for 2 devs if she wants to. I don't know if that's going to be what she decides, but I think there's only been 1 victory point drawn so far, so there's still a good amount out there.
Yeah, I do see that 6 sheep block is a big block. I'll tell you why I think it makes sense. Blocking the 6 wheat may seem like a very good idea first, because it kind of stops Sarp a bit too with the wheat. That's a strong suit. There's a wheat there, the 6 wheat. However, she has a 9 wheat, right, and even a 2 wheat if nothing else. And so that's not really hurting her much. But the 6 sheep, I mean, unless the 3 sheep rolls, the 6 sheep is a big number for her. And so people are thinking she's ahead now, I think.
I don't mean to interrupt, but she just bought 2 dev cards, and they were both victory points. Wow. So Panda is the clear favorite now, because all she needs is a city, and she wins.
Yeah, and they don't know she has 2 victory points.
Exactly, because she has
a lot of potential.
So a lot of times you'll know that someone has, like, Honie's had that victory point in his hand pretty much all game, but Panda just got them. So Panda's a 5 away if no one steals cards from her away from the game.
I'm seeing for some reason I'm seeing 7 points in hers and not. Yeah, but I hear you. She has 9 points.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think that includes the victory
Yeah,
points that are in
I
the
see.
hands.
I see.
So with those 2 victory points, that puts Panda at 9, and Honie's at 6 with that knight.
Yeah. So remember that, yeah, that we are seeing actually a Trash Panda having 7 plus those 2 victory points. She has 9 points. Sometimes it shows that it's 9 points. Now this one's not showing that,
But we
Yeah.
know here, and wow. Wait. Oh no. Okay.
a 7. Yeah.
I thought that the 7. For some reason, I saw for a second. I thought Honie put the robber there, but I think he's still deciding, and goes back for that 6 sheep.
Yeah.
Good for Panda though.
Yeah.
The wood is what gets stolen, so still a 5 away from game.
For example, yeah. City or at 3 getting a few dev cards, just keep on getting dev cards. There definitely going to be a few more rounds unless Trash Panda takes him.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
XP got a city on the and goes for the 411 over the 843. We missed that.
1 second. XP, let's see.
Interesting choice there. Going for the 411.
Yeah, maybe
the
he
city.
doesn't want that a or being blocked so obviously. Well, I don't know. That's one idea. That's probably but yeah, Trash Panda is very. We will see what happens. I'm interested in will Trash Panda not win? I mean, anything's possible, right?
Right, exactly.
See what happens.
But if
Big game turnaround here. Huh?
If Sarp or Panda rolls a 5, it's if Sarp rolls a 5, it's game over. Because Sarp doesn't have anything that would let him steal any cards from Panda's hand.
True.
So,
yeah. Also, Trash Panda's what's an advantage is she's not competing for the road. She doesn't need him.
Yeah.
Some players to have a chance to win, I mean, they're gonna need the road.
And no one else really competed with her for army as she was just buying up those devs when she just had the 2 settlements. But it's not over yet.
No, it's not.
And Sarp and Honie, they all have a lot of production, and so if they're able to avoid Panda getting that 10th point,
and they're communicating, they're like, "Hey, look, let's get some knights and points to stop her." Maybe by the communication, they can kind of guess she has a victory point or 2. Sometimes you can kind of. They're like, "Hey, do you have a victory point?" Like, I don't like that, but people are like, "Hey, do you have a victory point?" Well, what is she gonna say, right? She says no. It depends on how, or she says, I mean, interesting, but we'll see what happens. So he stole from her an ore, right?
Honie plays the knight, and steals that ore, so 5 no longer wins. But
definitely another round at least.
Yeah, Honie. If I were the other players, I don't know if there's enough time to get someone army, and if Honie had enough time to get army, he'd probably win with it. So a lot of times,
but that's playing at least 4 knights now for Honie.
Right. So that's why it was so big to get army when no one else was competing for it. And that 9 for Honie
gets one of those classic
brick and 3 wheat.
Yeah, this is a very classic under the radar going up and using dev cards being a strong suit, having that little. But the numbers are big. Think about it. The 4s kept rolling initially, a lot. And then we had very few 4s rolling. I mean, that's not just numbers, but the 5s rolled a lot with the 6s. 5 6s, and that helped a lot. Trash Panda a lot.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens here. The 9. That's Honie's.
So Sarp could use the wood port and the Europe plenty to get a city here, if he chooses to go that route. Could also
maybe feeling discouraged a little bit. From Sarp may be feeling lightly discouraged that what is he gonna do now? Slightly he has to really do some magic here.
Yeah, I agree. Also, not necessarily a smart play, but could take road right now with the year plenty if he wants to. But I think he wants to ultimately get road with the bottom side of the board. So just a lot of these Premier League matches in the regular season, getting points is important because that'll be a tiebreaker that can be really meaningful. But here in the finals,
this doesn't matter.
Win or go home.
So, which I like. I like that idea that you go for first. In the sense, no, there's some competitions where it matters. Second place actually gives you some points, and then third place, and so on. I played in one of those where you get 2 points for first. You play 3-player games, 2, and then 1, and then 0. Interesting. Let's see. Sarp's going.
Looks
and-
like he is opting for the Woodport and the year plenty for the city. On that 6
It would make sense to
11.
me. They got he got the trade, right? Oh, he had the nobody trade. They're not trading. Interesting. But he did a 2-for-1 to 2 woods for a war and got the city.
Yeah,
that makes sense to me. I think
Panda has a worse hand than she did on Honie's turn, getting stolen from a couple of times. And other players are coming right back in it.
Look at that. Warport and XP is getting those wars. Interesting.
Yeah, XP could take road here, get to 6. Could also buy a couple of devs. Very close to a city.
I think the devs, getting the devs is slightly. It's now challenging because you're not going for the army as much as you don't have much of a chance for the army. However, why get the dev? Because maybe even if you get a knight now, you can still slow down, for example, Trash Panda quite a bit.
Yeah,
it's a mixture. It's it's one of those difficult things to do. I would say maybe build a settlement. What do you think on the 3-for-1?
On the 3-to-1, I think that's a good play. So XP's at 6, so he needs 4 more points. So that could look like a settlement, a city, and then
he's probably thinking about road. He's probably thinking, hey, like I'm waiting for road. He's maybe thinking, I have kind of like already 2 plus 2 points. I'm not going to tell anyone that, but it seems like maybe
Yeah. Sorry. Just Pandas was trying to trade 2 wheat for 2 ore. And at 9 that's scary, but that does get XP a city. If that happens.
Do you think she may be going for a dev card? Probably. She was asking for sheep and an ore, right?
Yeah, there's been a bunch of trades now. Offering XP 1 wheat basically. But just going to use the ore port instead and build that settlement. You nailed that on the head right there. Pandas gets the 6, just the wheat this time.
Yeah. She has a sheep, right? And then look, so she can get it. She's probably thinking, look, if nothing else, I can always just go dev card at a time, unless maybe gives me a victory point right away.
Yeah. Or still, if Sarp rolls a 5, then she would get to 10 on her turn. No, this time she could be at risk of 7ing out actually. So that's not true. But
she has 7 cards, though, right? But
Honie,
But if Honie, right? Honie has potential. I mean, what do you see? I do think like it's very much on Trash Panda's side this game, followed by maybe XP. But let's see what is Honie doing here.
Honie's close to being able to connect roads. He's just a wood short, and that would put him at 9 points with the VP that we know he has.
True. And he's very mindful of that, I'm sure.
Yeah. So maybe trying to get that trading for a sheep. So maybe he's trying to get that settlement on the 9 brick first.
That would make a lot of sense.
Settle, and then just take road to win. So a few turns ago, Panda was very close to winning, and we thought we were starting to give the game to her a little bit. But again, I think pretty much everyone's back in this again, depending on what gets rolled here.
True. I do think Trash Panda's ahead, but then Honie, he has to risk going for that kind of point on road, and I think XP knows maybe knows that like if he doesn't get road, Honie may get road. Or that's advantage for Trash Panda maybe that they're competing for road, she's not, right?
Yeah. So gets a dev, which is a year plenty. Maybe used for 2 wood to connect road.
Ouch. Sarp has a 7 roll to cut off half of his cards.
That's tough. That's super tough for Sarp. Just starting to get back into it, maybe.
Yeah.
I think he was close to road. If he wanted to take it there, definitely to at least stop Honie from connecting. Building 3 roads from between his 2 cities.
Now, I do see that, like, regardless of the result of this game, everyone is doing a remarkable job. Now, they have to, like, not only the initial settlements, but the gameplay. Everyone had a kind of a leading potential throughout the game.
For sure. So Sarp holds on to 2 roads, and passes his turn. Oh,
6 rolls.
that's game.
It's game. She has it. Yeah.
So
3
she
to 1
trades
for the
in.
war. Yeah, she can get 3 wars.
That was the only roll that did it.
Yep. Yeah, because the 5 was blocked down. So let's see if she probably clearly sees, right, that.
Yeah, she's trading it in right now. So Trash Panda is going to be the season 4 Premier League champion.
Yeah. She clicked, I think, an extra. Yeah, that's it.
And that's game.
Yeah. That was a wonderful game. That was a really fun game to watch. Everyone did really well. It was very competitive, yeah, and very smart play. Like nobody stole from the weakest player. It was rather, fairly played and with etiquette. Yeah.
Absolutely, and I mean, anyone takes road, and they're 8 or 9 points. No one had road yet, so it even though it says it's 10-7, 7-6, it may not look that close. Truly, every single player had a chance to win, and Panda completes the comeback from just those 2 settlements.
Go everyone, and go Trash Panda, go, right?
Yeah, congratulations. We're gonna, I believe, be interviewing her in just a minute. You saw those dice stats. There were a good number of 6s and 7s. Those happen the most often, but they're definitely just a very well played game. Used the mono at the right time to get those 2 big cities, and those 2 VPs she drew as well were big. But I'm sure that she knew that there having been so many dev cards bought and not that many still left in people's hands, that there were more likely than average to be VPs there.
Yeah,
I would have been surprised if she didn't get at least one.
Yeah, I think 8 ore being blocked and 8 wood being blocked like all the time, which made a lot of sense, but it hurt Sarp and XP a lot.
Yeah, and she paced her game well, and so she didn't build those cities. She didn't become the big threat until she was ready to defend herself. She had those knights. No one could take army from her once she got it, and that was big for her.
Yeah, Jake, and it's interesting that this game, people sometimes don't forget this, but it goes to specifically 10 points, right? It's not like a lot more than that. So she knew, even having that 2, even having that 3 to 4, you could, she didn't finish at 11. She finished specifically at the 10 points. She had enough to get there and fastest.
Absolutely. And we had just a great game today. I mean, like we've been saying, everyone was in it, and we thought Sarp, right at the beginning, he got cut off by XP. XP looked really strong, and then Sarp gets that city down with the wood port. Sarp looks like he's in first place, and then Honie comes back. As we mentioned, he was pretty close to taking road and getting 9, and just needed one more, a road settlement would have been enough for him.
Definitely, yeah. And that trade didn't go off at the very close to the end, and I think they kind of knew that he's careful.
Hey guys.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Go Trash Panda, go. Wow.
Yeah, that was incredible. I was getting worried at the end there with Honie, because I knew he was gonna just grab that road at any time, and then he'd be one settlement, so road, settle, city, anything away. But yeah, I got really lucky with that last roll.
Yeah. You were stolen from at the end like in a good way. I mean, in a good way, in a sense that slow you down. Otherwise, you could have finished it sooner off.
Yeah, absolutely. When my wheat got stolen, I was a little worried because I was like, oh man, I was really hoping to try and get a development card, pull for a VP, but at least just have options. So I was hoping they would take a sheep. But once I rolled that 6, it was actually kind of perfect that they didn't take my sheep and ended up taking a wheat. So
Mhm.
yeah, it was one of those kind of nail biter moments where you just don't know what's going to happen with the roll.
This was a
Absolutely.
close game. Yeah. And
Very,
do
very
you
close,
agree
yeah.
that you kind of did this under the radar approach in a way, right?
You know what? I didn't like purposely like try and be under the radar. I think it just kind of happened with the positioning, with getting that 5 blocked in the beginning.
Yeah.
It automatically really did put me under the radar, especially because you've got XP who's got the double ore at the top. You've got Sarp and Honie who both have amazing ports. They're wood ports, they're brick ports. And so I had a little bit of a slow start. I had a mouse malfunction at one point where I only wanted to buy one development card, but my mouse has been acting up, and even if I click once, it'll like double click. So I ended up getting 2 development cards, but it ended up working out for me in the end. Which
Yeah, I was thinking you
again,
got
in
2
the
knights,
moment
right?
in the moment I was so mad. Like if I could scream, I would have screamed, but it ended up working out. But I didn't actually mean to buy both. I was going to buy one. You typically look at it, you kind of assess the situation, and then kind of go from there. But I was really worried, and I would have wanted to keep at least one or one wheat to try and build a city because these guys were building cities so fast, right? And obviously that 5 ore is a target. So I didn't try to kind of be the underdog, but I just felt like naturally throughout the game I kind of was.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
sure you were hoping for
especially.
an 8 ore. Huh?
Pardon?
I think
Sorry, I think you were hoping for like that 8 ore to be open sometimes so it would roll and you'd use the mono on it, right?
Yeah, like that was actually one of the things. Every time it came to my turn and I didn't use the knight, I was hoping I would get an 8 so that I could mono it in that moment. So when I didn't play the knight and then I ended up getting a 5, I mean, I was only 1 on the 5, but I knew Honie had the 2 ore from previous. So I was really kind of debating in that moment. I knew I was going to get a couple. I wasn't sure if he had any extra. So it was kind of like a Hail Mary at that moment. I was like, hopefully like I get the extra because I wasn't necessarily like watching every single ore. And I wasn't sure
You
if
took a
maybe
city from
XP
him.
had one. Yeah, yeah. Well, and I knew I was taking a city. I just wasn't sure if he would have an extra one or if XP had even one ore in his hand. So I was hoping to get 2 cities out of it. But I knew I'd get at least one city. I knew I would take a city out of Honie's hand, which I knew was really critical in that moment. And then I was hoping even if I just had enough for development cards, but it turned out I had enough for the 2 cities. So that really, and then you probably saw that I was kind of debating. I was like, okay, do I build that second city or do I try and, buy development cards to protect my position, really, right? Because as soon as they see me city up once, they're going to go crazy. And if I city up twice, they're going to go even more crazier on me, essentially, right? So it's kind of like trying to figure out that balance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
congratulations. Wow.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I know oh, sorry, go ahead.
You got it.
I was just going to say, I know the one move where I kind of aggressive knight played XP. He was a little upset with me, but it was another Hail Mary kind of moment. I felt like if I don't take a settlement out of his hand, I don't see how I get anywhere in this game.
Yeah, you stole the sheep from him, I believe, and that did take that settlement away on the ore port, and
Yeah,
that
exactly.
was huge. I think that he would have been in position to really like maybe be racing quickly to 10 points if he'd been able to get that settlement down a little bit earlier than he did.
Yeah, 100%.
There were a lot of lead changes. I felt like Sarp started off kind of leading, and anyone had a chance at it. I mean, a great gameplay. It was not just about the initial placements. It was interesting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate that.
One question I have about the initial placements actually is Punk and I were talking about maybe going on the 493 with the brick with your second placement. Why did you opt for the 693 instead with the extra sheet?
Yeah, so it's interesting. In the initial placements, it was the 6-5-11, the 8-4. What is that? 3? Hold on, give me a second. Let me.
Yeah, you got a
look.
6 sheep, something
Yeah,
instead of a 4
Yeah,
brick.
like the
was
8-4-3 was
with the ore.
yeah, was open, and then the 6-9-3, and then sorry, are you talking about the 6-4-3? Take that.
Yeah, there's also a 493. But there are definitely a lot of options. What made you settle on the 693?
Why not the 4 brick?
So basically, I really did contemplate it. My fear was actually leaving the 6-9-2 open. I felt like if I take the 6-4-3, I end up leaving the 6-9-2 open, and whoever gets that, like even if Honie ends up jumping on the 6-9-2, he gets like amazing setup, right? With that 5 ore, he's got the brick, and he's gonna end up trading wood with somebody because now somebody's gonna take the 9, the 11, the 3, whatever it might be, right? And if you notice, there is a surplus of wood in the game, and him and Sarp kind of become auto trading partners. But yeah, I really debated on that 6-9, or not the 9-4-3 with the brick. I really did. I looked at it. But I got worried about leaving a 6-9-2 available for anyone. That's really what it kind of became. And then I figured, sure, I'll have a surplus of sheep. That's why it took me a little bit of time to figure out, where do I point this road? I knew the wheat port would be a sure thing, like it would be easy. But then at the same time, because I knew I'd have a surplus of sheep in my hand, I was hoping that maybe if a 4 and the 10s were slow, I would have some trading ability in the sheep. But that's why I also pointed towards the 3-for-1. I figured, okay, well, at the very best, at least I can get over to the 3-for-1. I take away that 6-9-2 for, even if, for example, XP ends up on that 6-9-2 at the end, like whoever it was, I just felt like between Honie and XP, I can't leave that open for them.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. In fact, either the roads directions made sense. Yeah, so I see why you're thinking like that now.
Yeah, like I mean, I really did. I knew that brick would help me to even just expand a little bit, but I didn't feel like that brick would be significant enough to leave a 6-9-2 open. Like forget the 2, just that 6-9 in 2 positions, right? In 2 spots, sorry. So yeah, it made me really nervous, and I just feel like I kill my game if I don't take it. So yeah, and then that 5 was just a gamble. I was like, okay, how do you know if the 8s are gonna roll, the 5s are gonna roll? Like, which one do you go for, right? And I was kind of like, okay, if I go for the 5 and then the 8s hit a lot, I'm gonna kick myself. But if I go for the 8 and then the 5 is gonna roll a lot, I'm gonna kick myself. Like, you just, there's that element of the game that you don't know what's what. So
yeah,
absolutely, and that makes a lot of sense. I think we were a little bit tunneled on the taking away the free road spot on the 4-9-11, I think it was. But I agree that 6-9-2 would have been super strong, especially if someone like XP with that 8 ore would have led to some quick development cards.
And quite honestly, I didn't care about someone having a free road. I went, sure, you want a free road up to 10-3-11 to the 9-10 for more wheat? Go ahead. Like, I knew like whoever gets that 9-10, the wheat port's on the side of me. So it's not like, unless they have a 3-for-1 port, just that surplus of wheat isn't going to do anything. And, sure, you want the 3-11, have at her. Like, I just kind of, it was just one of those things where I just felt like You hope that at that point the other players can help you slow other players down, because like you said, it kind of transitions round by round, like who's the threat and where you kind of got to look at and where you got to go.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for hopping on and chatting with us after the game. Congratulations again.
Congratulations. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Premier League championship. That's quite an achievement with such great players. And
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
yeah, I think that's going to be it from us.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.